It has finally happened. I have finally finished reading the entire Mary-Kate and Ashley Two of a Kind series. I started collecting this series when I was about 8, and I only got the last book I was missing in, I think, 2022. So I finally read them this year, and we're gonna do a full series review and talk about them a little bit. Let's start off with a little bit about the series. So as I said, I started collecting this series from op shops when I was about 8, and I definitely did read a few of them at the time. But at some point, I decided that I needed to collect the whole series and read them in order, and I only managed to find the last book a couple of years ago. They've been pretty hard to track down. A couple of them I did have to order from America. I was only able to get them through op shops and secondhand book sites, so most of them I did find in op shops. There are 40 of them altogether, and that's a lot of years, a lot of searching, and I finally managed it. So for the first 8 books, they're at home, and then after that they go off to boarding school, and it follows them through boarding school, which is fine, except that for the rest of these books, they're at boarding school. They are in their first year at boarding school. They are in the same grade for all of these books, which would be fine, except that about 3 years pass during that time. There's a lot of inconsistency with the timeline, and oh my god, Jake, you're being too picky. It is a children's book series. It's not that deep. Stop. They are in a timeline. You know, there are books that reference things that happened in previous books. I mean, most of the series references things that happened in previous books, so it is following a timeline. So yes, actually, the consistency does matter a little bit. We have several Christmases and Halloweens and Valentine's Days, but they're going in order. I think they're just reliving the same year over and over again, because they are in order and they reference the previous books, but the same holidays keep happening, the same dates keep happening, the same seasons keep happening. I don't get it. Okay, so there's that, and there's also a chunk of about 5 books where they go back and forth. It's hot, and then it's cold, and then it's hot again, and then... Please. Please. You can't season jump 4 times in the space of 3 books. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. So yeah, that was my biggest issue with the series in general, I think. But aside from that, it's pretty decent. Now let's go talk about the individual books. So I guess these are also written by a few different authors. I think there are about 5 different authors for the most part, and a lot of them are written by the same 3, but there are a couple of additional ones. There is one random book written by a completely different author that never shows up again. But for the most part, you can't really tell. The writing style and themes are pretty consistent. It does get to a point where the books and the plots are predictable, and this does not change depending on the author. It's a twin thing. This was 3 out of 5 stars. I don't really have much to say about this one. It's short, it's fun, and it's a good opener for the series. How to Flunk Your First Date. 3 out of 5 stars. It's so weird reading these books now. I don't think I realized how short they were as a kid. Or maybe I did. Maybe this is where I found my need to prioritize taking a stack of books when going on a trip so I wouldn't run out of things to read. They're cute though, definitely a bit silly, but they are fun, and they have a few laughs when you manage to sift through the ridiculousness of the overreactions of preteen girls in the 2000s. The Sleepover Secret, 3 out of 5 stars. One problem with these books is that they feel the need to remind you who the characters are in every book. We don't need a whole paragraph telling us the same thing every single time, especially in books this short. I did get a few good laughs out of this one though. The banter between Kevin and Carrie is brilliant at times. One Twin Too Many. This was 2 out of 5 stars. The main plot with Mary-Kate and Ashley in this book is ridiculous. The plot with Carrie and Kevin brought up some good points though. I like how these books managed to mix serious stuff alongside the over-the-top silly stuff. To Snoop or Not to Snoop, 3 out of 5 stars. This one had a couple of pretty good messages and educational moments, even if it chose some strange ways of getting there. Mind your business, don't snoop or spy on people, and don't make assumptions without the full context. My Sister the Supermodel, 4 out of 5 stars. I liked how this one was very, just because I like that doesn't mean I can't also like this. It's very, like what you like and don't be afraid to step out of the box everyone's shoved you into. Choose a Crowd, 2 out of 5 stars. There's so much pettiness and jealousy in this one, and most of it comes from nothing. The manipulation is also pretty gross. While the twist at the end was possibly meant to be funny, it was more creepy and unsettling. Seriously, if someone did that in real life, we would be blocking them on every level. Let's Party, 3 out of 5 stars. A great example of why surprise parties aren't always a good idea. But again, why are they so petty? All of the arguments and most of the issues in this could have been resolved if they just got over themselves and worked together. Calling All Boys, 3 out of 5 stars. You had one rule, and you couldn't even stick to that. Nice job! Also, where are those repercussions? I was looking forward to finding out how much trouble they'd land in, but we never got that part. Winner Take All, 2 out of 5 stars. It's a bit fitting that this is the book that had a different author because it really shows. The way Ashley treats people in this book isn't her style at all. This author wrote a completely different character and gave her the same name. Sure, Ashley gets passionate about things when she wants them, but not like this. P.S. Wish You Were Here, 3 out of 5 stars. 2000s technology and communication issues. Gotta be honest, I miss being less accessible, but not like this. This makes me glad that we have access to so many forms of instant communication. The Cool Club, 3 out of 5 stars. What would you do to join a secret club of cool kids? Apparently, abandoning friends, breaking school rules, vandalism, and giving teachers food poisoning are acceptable. But we draw the line at pranking a friend. And this whole thing isn't even about being friends with them. It starts off as trying to get in with the cool crowd, but most of it is trying to be friends with someone just because you might get something out of it. Either way, that's a terrible way to start a friendship. War of the Wardrobes, 3 out of 5 stars. Yes, the dreaded school uniforms. This one had a few fun jokes and tricks mixed in, and some parts that had me rolling my eyes. Another note on the inconsistencies would be, coming back to this one, how we had an entire book dedicated to the fact that they were getting school uniforms, or at least a dress code. And that's all this book is about. This entire thing is just, oh no, we might be getting a uniform, but what if we got a dress code instead? And they fight for that, and they get it, and then there are rules. And then we pretty much never hear about it again after this. After this book, no uniforms, no dress code. It's just back to everyone wearing whatever they want. So what was the point of this book? I don't know. Bye Bye Boyfriend, 3 out of 5 stars. So dramatic. Pun not intended, but it fits. They were clever, but they're also incredibly lucky that the timing worked in their favor. This could have ended in all sorts of disasters. It's Snow Problem, 3 out of 5 stars. Competitions, school spirit, and a prank war. What could be more exciting? Likes Me Not, 3 out of 5 stars. Look, here's that miscommunication trope. Sure Thing, 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly not sure this one was believable. Mary Kate is the one who's generally tough and sporty and not afraid of things, but they switched the roles for this book, and it just didn't feel realistic. 2 for the Road, 3 out of 5 stars. Much like part 1, this did not feel believable. She searched her entire bag and her sister's bag multiple times, incredibly thoroughly, and just magically missed an entire pocket? No! Surprise, surprise. 3 out of 5 stars. Mary-Kate, stop treating Ashley like your personal servant challenge. This one did wrap up quite nicely, though. Sealed with a Kiss, 3 out of 5 stars. Spooky fun and a funky plot twist I did not see coming. A plot twist was hinted, but it ran in a very different direction to what I was expecting. Now You See Him, Now You Don't, 3 out of 5 stars. This one is a bit silly, but what else do you expect when you mix horses and magicians? April Fool's Rules, 4 out of 5 stars. This one was fun. Sometimes timing is the most important detail, and this book ran with that on multiple levels. Island Girls, 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly, not a lot of thoughts about this. Definitely a little different to the usual drama, but at the same time, it's the exact same drama. Surf, Sand, and Secrets, 3 out of 5 stars. At a certain point in this series, these books stopped having original, unique plots, and instead just repeated the same formula with a few tweaks. This one is not one of those. It's less predictable and definitely not something I was expecting. Closer Than Ever, 3 out of 5 stars. Not a fan of the casual manipulation that goes on in this one. You're supposed to be best friends and support each other, not whatever this is. I do love the way it worked out in the end, though. It was quite sweet. The Perfect Gift, 3 out of 5 stars. For some reason, every character in the series stepped into this particular book and chose to be insufferable. Ashley was at least trying to do things with good intentions, but pretty much everyone else was just awful in one way or another. The main plot with Mary-Kate was riddled with selfishness and a new character being fed up with it, and with good reason, only to cave and help in the end. They painted this new girl as a villain when she hadn't done anything wrong. The ending was quite wholesome though, so that kept it at a neutral 3. The Facts About Flirting, 3 out of 5 stars. Ashley, stop meddling and mind your own business. That's it. That's the entire book. The Dream Date Debate, 3 out of 5 stars. This one is a little silly, a little fun, and a little cute. End of notes. Love Set Match, 3 out of 5 stars. This one confused me. They've been at boarding school for half the series at this point, including in the previous book. In that book, where they both have boyfriends, the entire plot revolves around their relationships. And then suddenly in this book, they're going to a camp and they're single. No mention of the boyfriends at all, and they're flirting with other boys. And one gets a new boyfriend for the duration of the 2-book plot. There have been a lot of continuity errors in this series that I've just brushed off, but this plot makes absolutely no sense. It still gets a neutral 3 because if we ignore the timing, it's still a solid plot, and it's definitely a fun one. But what the heck was this? Making a Splash, 3 out of 5 stars. A continuation of the previous book's plot, but with more energy. This one is more exciting and more interesting, but still loses points to being confusing. I feel like the timing was just wrong. Maybe if it had happened at a different point in the series, say prior to the boarding school, it may have worked brilliantly. But instead, it's been shoved in the middle of a timeline that doesn't make sense. Dare to Scare, 2 out of 5 stars. I was excited about the Halloween theme, but it honestly wasn't that interesting. A lot of the book was just the same thing happening over and over again. The ending was pretty fun, but that's about it. Honestly, I feel like this book had a lot of potential, but they just missed the mark. And Yes, by the way, for those following along, we're suddenly back at boarding school as if the previous plot never happened. And yes, that means back with their boyfriends. Like nothing happened. Like the last 2 books didn't exist. Santa Girls, 4 out of 5 stars. I read these to escape adulthood for a while, but this one is only a reminder that no matter what we do or what we plan for, another expense will always come along to mess with our plans. Heart to Heart, 2 out of 5 stars. Because a mother sending her son a Valentine's Day song is kinda creepy, and for the repeated use of Pookie. But this book had some fun ideas and could have been kinda cool if not for that. The way they take the initiative to do a fundraiser to replace the DVD player in their common room, very cool, and the idea they use for it is pretty unique. Prom Princess, 3 out of 5 stars. I liked how this one shows a different side of Dana and gives an explanation for some of her comments and behavior. That still doesn't justify a lot of her actions, though. Camp Rock and Roll, 3 out of 5 stars. Like 70% of this book is just Ashley making a promise to Phoebe and immediately forgetting and dismissing her for something more exciting. Twist and Shout, 3 out of 5 stars. I'm used to and understand the inconsistencies in this series, especially when there are several different authors writing the books for it. But how does this 2-part plot, with both books written by the same author, still have inconsistencies? In part 1, the girls were playing soccer, but in this one, it's football. Hocus Pocus, 3 out of 5 stars. This one is supposed to be a Halloween-themed book, but it's less about the spooky season and much more focused on the circus that's come to town. While the plot twists aren't particularly twisty, they're kind of easy to guess, especially 37 books into the series, they work pretty well. Even though this is mainly about the circus, part of that is Mary-Kate finding a fortune teller, and even though she doesn't believe in them, the way it's set up is a little eerie, especially when you keep in mind that she isn't able to figure out the overall plot as easily as us readers. Though there is the quote, "I'd almost think he was cute if he weren't such a pain." You can't say that about your cousin. Jail. Whoever wrote this, jail. Jail. Holiday Magic, 5 out of 5 stars. I wish I'd made notes on this at the time of reading it, but alas. The kids are setting up a school project to run a restaurant, and as part of her research, Mary-Kate volunteers at an actual restaurant. I really enjoyed this book because it shows so many different aspects of life. Each character has their own issues and conflicts. It gives us a little bit of genuine insight into what it's like to work in the service industry, and because of the way everyone works together and finds solutions to the problems. Everyone struggles in this book, and they all win. Maybe the outcome isn't what they'd originally expected or hoped for, but this way might have been better. The conflicts in this book were realistic and character appropriate, and the resolutions all came together neatly at the end. Candles, Cake, Celebrate, 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not sure what Ashley was thinking, or if she thought her plan through at all, and I'm not sure why no one else had the sense to stop her. But everything worked out in the end, so I guess it's okay. That and the final twist was kind of funny. Wish on a Star, 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not sure why part of me was hoping for an actual conclusion to the series, but in case anyone else is, there's no conclusion here. It's just like any other book. Of course, we have Dana being mean, trying to get other people in trouble, and just being a menace in general. We have Ashley trying to take charge of everything. We have Mary-Kate in a situation and not trying to fix it, but still getting mad about it. Luckily, all involved reached their appropriate ending. I was juggling my thoughts on this book between a 3 and a 4, but the last few pages were packed with puns, and suddenly there was nothing to question. So there we are, that is the entire Two of a Kind series, and it's done. I finally read them all. 8-year-old me would be so proud! Woo! I still have 2 more complete Mary-Kate and Ashley series here that I need to get through, so buckle up, because that's gonna maybe happen in 2025.